Hey guys, we got another build, and this one is pretty cool. I'm using a couple of things that people don't generally use, so it's pretty cool. I wanted to make a build with Tactician, so here it is. We'll see how it performs. Solid. So, I'll show you a map as well, of course. Let me just see what this guy drops. But the biggest upside of this build is that nobody ever moves. Level 19 said nobody ever moves, so it's pretty safe. Whatever you do, whether it's bossing or mapping, very solid. And also Tactician. Well, if you don't want defenses, if you want to focus more on blasting, you can also swap out one of the passive nodes. So I'm running XP maps at the moment. CP just a little bit not good for a showcase. Let's see what else we got. Damn, all of these maps are kinda horrendous for Breach. Oasis, perfect. Let's run Oasis. Tier 16 map, nothing too crazy on it, just some damage mods. No delirium this time. But anyway, mapping is very solid. Plays fun. You got the Herald explosions as well, and the defenses are alright. Generally, one hit is enough, as you can see, to clear packs, because the Herald is just... Oh my god, the Breach is not in a very good spot. Because the Heralds... Herald Vice does a lot of damage, and it works really well with Galvanic Shards. And since it chains, the chaining range is pretty good, and also we're permanently immobilizing them. And there's also the bone shrapnel that comes out. I'm not sure if it does that much, to be honest, but I don't know, I kept it in there. But I think it's working pretty well, because the Abyss Rares, when they're stacked up, they die pretty fast as well, not only just from the Herald device, but I imagine from the bone shrapnel as well. I'll show you, of course, later on what I mean, but as you can see, the clear on this guy is pretty solid. The bossing part, since nobody moves, well, since the boss doesn't move, you can actually use 2 breaches. Nice. You can use the... what are they called? Stormblast bolts, which is a skill that nobody ever uses, even though it has insane multipliers. But of course, the biggest downside is that it takes a while to set it up right. Another breach. Is this a 10 breach map? Might be. Let's activate this one as well. So the biggest, I guess, problem for this build is that if the rare doesn't have mobs around it, the Galvanic Shards themselves, they don't deal a crazy amount of damage, since I am technically spec'd for range rather than close range. So, you know, I'm losing a bunch of crit chance and bonus damage. And the chains, you know, they don't... I think they don't work on the primary target. Not sure though, could be wrong. But if there's a bunch of mobs around the rare, everything pretty much explodes, right? Another breach. Let's go. Breach map. Fog. But yeah, basically this is how it goes. Clear is very solid. There's a couple of things that you could move around in the gems if you wanna have Galvanic Shards feel a little bit different. I went for more of a single shot type of build, so I don't need to slow myself down for longer periods of time. But you can also play mobility and the gem that gives 5 extra bolts and more attack speed. So if you prefer that playstyle, you can do that as well. But I think the single shot works a little bit better with the nose in the tree, because you can invest into instant reload as well as... oh, don't even need to invest, they're just there. Oh my god, we died. But yeah, basically this is how it goes. And like I said, you can change it into a little bit more of a faster shooting Galvanic Shards if you want to. Don't have to. But anyway, let's see what we're doing over here. So there's some really cool. Let's go over the gems first. There's some really cool things that I'm doing with the explosive shot. I basically am scaling crit and adding lightning damage onto it. Since I am playing Call of the Brotherhood, I technically convert everything from cold to fire. I mean, from cold to lightning. I mean, from lightning to cold. Yeah. And in this game, as extras, they don't convert. So that's how I am shocking, and the shocks were pretty good as well, 80% if you noticed. So with this, as well as this, you can reach a good amount of lightning damage where you shock pretty reliably. Of course, I'm also running inevitable critical because I only need to shoot this thing every once in a while, right? So basically, we're always critting and always shocking. I think we have like a good amount of chance to shock against tier 3 Xesht. So far, I think I maybe haven't shocked him once, but that's about it. Because also Voltaic Mark gives us 50% more chance to shock, right? And I forgot to quality Voltaic Mark, so a little bit more than 80%. There we go. Should be about 90% now. So anyway, this is the setup. More chance to shock, of course, as well. For Hailstorm rounds, so you after I switched to explosive shot shocking, I don't really use it anymore. But you can use a Hailstorm rounds against rares, because the rares, like I said, sometimes you have to get close to deal damage with Galvanic Shards if there's no mobs around. So might as well supplement your damage with Hailstorm rounds. I do have just freeze on here. That's about it. But if you want to go for damage, you can do that. But initially I just had this setup so I could freeze Xesht a little bit more while I'm not, dealing damage with Stormblast bolts. But as it is right now, I don't really need it anymore. But anyway, probably a solid setup if you want some freeze buildup. Emergency reload with CDR in here. I don't know, use it, don't use it, up to you. Voltaic Mark with just more duration. Don't really need anything else from it. You do need a little bit of accuracy since we want to be a little bit far, well, at least ideally 7 meters away from the boss, but most of the effects that we have are active when we are 6 meters away from the boss. So let me show you here, and as you can see, if we're at 9 meters, we're losing a bunch of accuracy. Granted, we do have blind with 50% increased effect, so this is closer to like 95% hit chance at 9 meters. So at 7 meters we should be fine, but of course, who's counting the distance, right? But you do need to back away for a bunch of stuff to work, like long shot as well as the passives from the tree. But anyway, this thing has conk effect because this is our bossing skill. Elemental armament, blindside, very solid, very strong support. When you have a bunch of when you're like reaching 50% crit chance as well as a couple of hundred multipliers, blindside is very strong. Cold attunement as well, since we're converting everything from lightning. Well, I have lightning damage on my crossbow. You don't have to have it, but it works. Yeah, this crossbow was pretty cheap to make, so you can make something like that or buy something similar, because this is not something that most people want. So lightning attunement works, and I mean cold attunement, yeah, and long shot, like I said, since we want to be at range anyway, because there's a lot of good nodes that we were using from range. Shard Scavenger for maps, so it reloads every once in a while and then grants us a buff. To proc Shard Scavenger, I have, where is it? I have Biting Frost on Herald of Ice because I only really need it for mapping, right? So this is how I'm consuming freeze. Elemental armament in here, bone shrapnel, like I've said, since we are pinning faster than we are freezing, so pin should always be active on mobs, and they explode, dealing 25% as physical, so a little bit of extra clear from this thing as well. Cold attunement, I'm not sure if this works on bone shrapnel. I'm hoping that it does. If it doesn't, it's a little bit sad, but it is what it is. Still solid. And also execute, because, well, we have chains from Galvanic Shards and they chain to a lot of enemies. Now for the Galvanic Shards themselves, like I said, I'm running more of a single or two-shot type of thing because I have nodes on the tree that also help me with that playstyle. But if you don't want them, you can, you know, use the, what's it called? Streamlined rounds. You can use this one, but as you can see, 60% less damage. So with this, you will obviously want to use mobility, so you're losing out on a bunch of damage. But if you prefer that playstyle, you can. I have Gamble Shot. Gamble Shot is, in my opinion, the best clear support if your skill isn't bricked by it. In our case, it isn't. So this works really well. Elemental Armament, and of course, Ice Bite, because this is our mapping skill. But if you want, you can potentially... Well, my Hailstorm rounds has Ice Bite as well, so if it ends up freezing... if it ends up freezing, we also get the 25% as cold for a little bit of extra damage. And oh yeah, we're also using Wind Dancer with the cold tech, so it can also freeze and kill mobs, and then it procs Herald of Ice as well. If you want, you can do that. If you don't wanna, you don't have to. But it's very solid. I do recommend this deck. So yeah, this is the gems. Let's go over the passive tree. So I have 2 fully used up weapon sets. This is my bossing setup. So these nodes are very solid. Mobilization build up. I have this, like I have the defenses. I don't have too many like nodes invested into defenses, but it's enough because this thing is actually pretty insane. Very solid for mapping. Of course, against bosses, this doesn't do much. Well, the evasion does, the armor not so much, because we don't really, well, like we have 8k armor, so I can survive the hand slam. When Xesht spawns hands, a lot of hands, I can survive that one. I'm left with like 10% HP, but anything above that will just kill us, because even though I have 4k armor, that's 8k armor, that's not nearly enough. You need about 15k armor for bosses to start like noticeably dealing less damage against you. And before that, it's a little bit not great. And this thing, these nodes are actually very, very insane. You pick this up in the campaign, and the game is just free. Because this is any projectile damage, so any type of build that you're running will work. And this is more immobilization build-up, which also works with freeze. This is partly why I also went with freeze, but also, you know, freeze unlocks Herald of Ice, and that's just very solid. But these nodes are very insane because the mobs don't ever do anything. Ignore the fact that I just died. And these nodes, they're pretty good, right? Well, this doesn't do much for me, but actually Element Treasure is also nice, I guess. This one is very solid for mapping. If you want more damage, get this, get like Herald of Ash as well, get a companion, allocate like these nodes, right? Or just, I don't know, think of something else. But I do recommend these nodes, so it's a little bit safer to map. So anyway, back to the passive tree. Mobilization build up over here, and that's pretty much it when it comes to like freeze or pin build up. Oh, I do have these nodes, because these nodes are actually very solid as well. Crit chance, and leading up there's pin duration, so our pin actually lasts longer than freeze without any investment. 4.5 seconds. This doesn't do much. I mean, the pin cannot deal crit hits, doesn't do much because well, on Tactician your pin makes them unable to do any actions. And this is 40% increased attack damage because you know, maim. I think I have maim somewhere. I just dropped maim, maybe I don't. I dropped maim, boys. You need to get maim in. So, well, I mean, 3 levels, you know, get this back in. I dropped this for these, but it seems like, you know, I lost a little bit of damage. So yeah, I'm level 92, so you can definitely reach 95. It's a pretty safe build. So, you know, get these back in for sure. But anyway, back to it. We got The crossbow node's very solid. This is what allows us to run the Galvanic Shards with just 2 bolts, and it doesn't feel bad. Also, reload speed is very nice. Controlled Metamorphosis over here for the reload speed, and this very solid node. Right? And then we're just pathing upwards. The jewels are basically just crit damage bonus, and if you can get like cold damage or anything else that's useful. And I do recommend max life on kill as per usual. That's like the best thing to recover your health with in this game. Solid nodes, we need some attack speed because Stormblast bolts, we don't really want to spend too long of a time shooting them. However, we don't really want to sacrifice the damage support gem for attack speed on Stormblast bolts. We just want more damage, you know? So you kind of have to get the attack speed from elsewhere. So I have a crossbow with attack speed as well. I'll show you the items, of course, later as well. Do get a little bit of accuracy. I got pin build up in here. This is a perfect jewel basically for me. You can also use Heart of the Well, but the Heart of the Wells with as extra cold are very expensive. So they're like 7 divine, so that's like half the build already, you know. Coming Calamity for mapping, very solid. These nodes as per usual with I have pretty solid nodes in here. Some evasion rating I was actually happy to get, and the rest, you know, very good nodes. I mean, very good passives for a build like ours. Or I guess pretty much any crossbow build. Blind nodes, as per usual, they're very solid. And blind nodes over here, again, very solid nodes. And of course, we're pathing over to crit. And in here, yet again, max on kill. The penetration is not mandatory because we have 100 cold pen as is. So even in maps, when there's a mob with like resistance aura, we're still dealing a good amount of damage. So for the explosive shot, this is the only skill that I have on weapon set 2. Basically, you take all the shock nodes and a little bit of lightning pen because it helps, you know, the more damage you deal, the easier it is to shock. Over here as well, all the shock nodes, these crit nodes, because this is magnitude, so figured why not. Very solid nodes. And I'm dropping the pin nodes, dropping the attack speed nodes, and the herald nodes and the blind nodes. And also grabbing these because this is also shock magnitude. That's how we reach a good amount of shock. For the items, so we're using Call of the Brotherhood, we're using Leopolds along with Pandemonius, so this is basically a meme build at this point. So many uniques and, you know, who's using Pandemonius, but it works well. Pandemonius works really well with Leopolds. Leopolds, as I've stated, are one of the strongest gloves in the game, if you're not using Rakiata. But, you know, the downside of Rakiata is that they have 0, you know, you don't deal any extra damage. But in our case, we always basically deal 50% more damage instead of anything reduced. And with just these 2 items, you get 100 penetration. So you're solid, don't need to invest in the tree, anything. Body armor with armor evasion, and I don't know, I got the armor applies elemental damage, but I don't realistically have enough for it to make that much of a difference. So you can probably skip that, or if you want, invest a little bit more so you can feel the effect of it. Boots with just some, basically, you know, everywhere is just armor, evasion, life, and resistances. That's about it. The ring, also just capping out resistances. Ideally, you get some accuracy on here as well. But if you don't, not that big of a deal. And the crossbow. So like I've said, this crossbow is something that not many people would need. I mean, it's a solid crossbow, right? Because the suffixes are good. I actually managed to slam on the +6. There was some bad mod over here. So I managed to slam +6. Oh, it was a desecrated mod, so I just slammed onto it. And I was very lucky to do that, of course. But you don't need a perfect crossbow like that, but something similar is what you should aim for. Full Fizz also works. Full Fizz is generally better. But they are more expensive. So you can just buy something like this and it'll do the job just as well. Well, almost just as well, right? But if you want, you can spend more divines. And that is it for the build. Hopefully, guys, you enjoyed the build and, you know, give it a go. It's pretty solid. Very unique, I guess, as well. Not many people are actually going out of their way to play Call the Brotherhood with crossbow skills and Stormblast bolts, right? So, you know, do what you will with this build. Or don't. Anyway, that is it for today, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.